I'm a firm believer that we can each change every aspect of our life, a life design that's completely different than what we have now. We can elevate, we can grow, we can evolve and reach higher and higher into our physical health, mental, emotional health, and our spiritual health.
Have you ever wondered how much inflammation is secretly running the show in your body, causing pain, brain fog, draining that energy? It can really be the villain with anything when you're struggling, autoimmune disease, gut issues, and yes, ladies, those of you listening, even going through the changes. And I can speak about that firsthand. But the good news is you don't have to live that way. And you're about to find out why that is. Plus, you're going to find out some spicy answers that exist right in your refrigerator and in your kitchen and in your cabinet, if that gives you a little hint. So when I first walked into the world of holistic health myself and integrative nutrition, before I even became a trauma-informed practitioner of havening, I really spent a lot of time in my own kitchen discovering the medicines that already exist right there. How can I integrate them into my own life, right? And how can I change my habits? Maybe you've done that too. And if you're interested in integrative nutrition or even havening, and if it sounds like something you want to look into, check the notes of this podcast because I'm sharing more ways and more offers that create possibilities for you, so that you can put that into your own life day after day. So you asked for this topic on Holistically Speaking, and I'm listening. It is something we have not really dived into just itself, and that is Ayurveda. So we're doing that today. And I have the perfect person to support this conversation, Dr. Shivani Gupta. And she is an Ayurvedic practitioner, expert in blending the Eastern wisdom and the Western science to help our bodies find balance. Shivani, it is about time, right?
Absolutely.
When we talk about the Eastern and the Western, it really says, we're bringing that here. We're seeing more people really diving into that. And I know from your own experience of somebody who grew up both in the States and has roots to India, this was an easier path for you to get into, but you do have your own story.
Yes, for sure. It's been a long journey to finding the system that finally worked for me. And I grew up in Houston, Texas, a typical immigrant child who was lucky enough to start going to India to see all my grandparents and cousins when I was about 5 years old. But the punishment to that was from 5 till 20, every time I went to India, I would get disastrously sick. One bite of chutney or one bite of potatoes on the street with all the fun street foods we had, and I would have Montezuma's Revenge India style. And it was horrible. And so I just grew up thinking, wow, everyone else has an immune system. Everyone else can eat foods. Everyone else can go to a party and not get sick. But I somehow was born with this defective template and I'm always sick. And so fast forward, it took me till college to learn about and realize there's this thing called gut health. There's this thing called a gut microbiome, and we have to have probiotics. And so one time I was in India in college, disastrously sick. They thought they'd have to hospitalize me. And we went to this doctor's office, Dr. Gupta. And we were sitting in his office and he goes, okay, here's your solution. Here's your prescription. And then here's the 11 medicines you can take to get better. And there's this voice that screamed out of me and said, no, we're not doing this again. And so I looked at the doctor and I said, can we dumb that antibiotics down a couple notches? Can we not explode my gut like you do every year here? And then what are those other 11 meds for? Oh, they're for symptoms? No, I'm not doing that. And where's the probiotic? And I remember my parents getting so mad, like, you don't talk to an Indian doctor that way. And I said, you know what? This is not working anymore. We have to go find a new way, and I have to figure this out. We're in the land of yoga and Ayurveda. There must be other options here. And so I went on a quest through India, and I went to each center, sat at the guru's feet, and just hoped for help. And eventually I got my answers. I saw tons of people getting healed. I learned all about gut health the Ayurveda way, and I rebuilt my gut health and my immune system. And I thought, wow, why is the whole world not living like this? This is incredible. This is the path to health. And I realized Ayurveda is just really bad at simplifying things into a way that we in the West can use. And so that was my mission 20 years ago. And I'm still doing that. I'm still just pulling Ayurvedic tools into the modern day times in a simpler way that we can use to get the results so that I can teach everyone the lifestyle that if we lead it and live it, we can have that vibrant health that we all deserve.
If we lead it and live it. And see, that's the kind of doctor I love working with. When I'm working in the holistic health field and any integrative medicine, finding doctors who are in the functional medicine space or integrative space, I align with that more, not just because it's part of my business, but because I have to be my own healthcare advocate. I have to be my own healthcare advocate, just like you are your own healthcare advocate. And you mentioned something that was really interesting to me, Shivani, and it's the point that when you were seeing the doctor and you're getting all of these prescriptions prescribed, you had a voice, which for a very long time, I don't think, especially in this country, you didn't talk back to your doctor. You didn't ask questions. And there was almost a manipulation that happened. Like, I know more. And I'm not saying doctors don't know more, but who knows the body and your body better than self?
Correct. And that was a pattern through my whole life was you go to the expert or the doctor, they always give you a prescription, you take it and you assume it's good for
Mhm.
you. And even until I'd say a decade ago, that was still true. I'd still go to the doctor. I went to orthopedics and I was like, I have knee pain. I have plantar fasciitis. And they said, take NSAIDs 24/7 for 10 days. So I listened because that's the expert. And then all of a sudden I'd have a punishment called stomach aches. And I'd say, wait a minute, you guys gave me a problem that is unacceptable to me. I can't have anyone impact my gut. I have to find a different way to do this. And so being sovereign and being an advocate for yourself in your own care is something I'm very passionate about because if we don't learn to really understand our health, be intuitive with it,
Mhm.
understand our own bio individual body, our own mind body constitution, then we will be at the whim of others. And from what I've learned, not every tool in the toolkit of Western medicine works for my body.
Mhm.
I really have to guard my health carefully. And so what's interesting is I'm married into an all Western medicine family, and everyone around me is like, there's a pill for that. And I'm like, no, 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 no. There's a herb for that, actually. There's a spice for that, and there's a tea for that. So if you want that toolkit, I am always using that toolkit.
So how do you support each other on that journey? If you're having the Western and the Eastern, is it really just being open to having the conversations? Because obviously, maybe for somebody there is a pill for that, and maybe for another person there is an herb for that. So how do you come together and integrate, using that word, to really support bioindividuality?
It's been really interesting because I'm married to a Western MD doctor, and my viewpoints are getting more Eastern and holistic year by year. It's almost like as I vintage, as I become more and more, it's almost like the strength of it. There's a word for that where I'm becoming less flexible about the strength of my convictions. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really about mutual respect.
Hmm.
My husband looks at me and he's like, wow, it's Hinkapani as opposed to Pepto Bismol. And I'm like, absolutely. Why don't we watch the result? Why don't we try my way and just see? And he's like, oh, okay, fine. That's fine. We can do that from now on. Or turmeric did that to that patient. I'm like, yeah. And so it's just a slow evolution. And I think Western medicine has opened their minds a lot since COVID,
Yeah.
which is great. Since the pandemic, things have changed.
Hmm.
A lot of mindsets are like, look, both are wonderful. We
Hmm.
need both in catastrophic situations. When someone needs surgery, gosh, do I love Western medicine all day long. When something's really serious, I love it. And when something becomes a chronic issue or a lifestyle issue or we have an herbal solution, I love that too.
Hmm.
So I'm very much a meeting in the middle. I think that's where functional medicine is
Hmm.
actually very powerful sometimes
Yeah.
because functional medicine's really pulling integrative and all the different subspecialties out of the integrative medicine specialties and meeting it with functional medicine mindsets
Hmm.
and finding that root cause solution. So to me, every solution works. It's just about when and where.
Exactly. And coming from a doctor and hearing those words from an MD are really powerful because I think it is that mutual respect, knowing that we're so fortunate to have modern medicine when we need it. And we're also fortunate to know that we can go back to the roots of really what tradition, what medicine was based on, right?
True. And in my in-law family, I'm a PhD
Ah,
and they're all MDs and surgeons.
mm,
And so it's really interesting because I'm coming at it with this incredible knowledge from Ayurveda and they're all Indian. So they're like, yeah, I know it works, but I was trained in this other way. And so we get to always meet in the middle, which is honestly a good metaphor example for what we're doing in the rest of the country. Yoga is a sister science to Ayurveda. So all I'm really bringing to you is how to take that wisdom of yoga and Ayurveda and integrate it in as the lifestyle to prevent you from developing those chronic metabolic diseases in the first place. And then I say, look, when something's serious, we have those incredible practitioners.
Yeah, great. Everybody works together to help each other out, but we have to help ourselves first. So I want to touch on turmeric because you did bring it up. That's really what you're known for, and the
Yes.
anti-inflammatory ways. And turmeric is, we hear all about it. There's so many videos out there now, people doing things with turmeric, which is great. But understanding what people are doing, I think, is really important. Why this conversation is so vital so that we can truly understand the power of this plant, this spice, and what it can really do for us. So let's go there.
Sure. So my entire PhD dissertation was on turmeric. I was doing my master's degree in Ayurvedic lifestyle, and I learned about all the herbs and spices. And so as I was sitting in class, the teacher was teaching us, okay, turmeric does this, ginger does that, ashwagandha does this. In the Indian household, you use your coriander, your red chili spice, your garam masala that has black pepper. And this spice bowl, basically the spice kit that we use every day, here are all the benefits. And as I was sitting there, I thought, wow, every spice you're talking about does what superfoods do. We eat a lot of superfoods in the West because they're anti-inflammatory, they're antioxidant, and they're immune supportive, high vitamin C and these kinds of things. But what you're saying is these spices have the same power, the same abilities, and we don't use them. We just in America use like salt,
Mm.
black pepper, basil, oregano. People keep it really simple. And so my dream is really to bring those spices back into our life, whether we use them in our food or we take them in supplement form to get those superfood benefits. And so when the teacher mentioned turmeric, I thought, wow, everything you're saying turmeric does, my family history deals with. My family history is all diabetic, heart disease, Parkinson's, really bad. And so every time I went to India, I thought, how am I going to prevent this from happening in my generation with my siblings to my parents? And so turmeric to me is one of the most powerful superfoods that we have on earth. It is anti-inflammatory, and there's over 17,000 studies in PubMed because there's so much science going behind why turmeric is so effective as an anti-inflammatory. The medical community, the scientific community is fascinated because it approaches inflammation from so many different pathways. So when people are inflamed, what I've seen anecdotally for the last 10 years working with people is it helps the big issues, then the medium issues, and then the small issues.
Yeah.
So people will say, my chronic joint pain, you're holding me pain free. We're seeing orthopedics say, wow, you've got our pain patients feeling much better. They're more flexible, more mobile, more able to move their body and ambulate. We've got a lot of the subspecialties saying, wow, you're winning at inflammation. This is wonderful. So it's anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidant, which we know
Mhm.
oxidation is causing aging and rusting in our system over time. We know that it's antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal. And so, based on my immune system growing up, I really like the immune modulating aspects of turmeric because I need it. It's my defense system against all that comes. We also know that turmeric is anti-candida, anti-H. pylori, anti-obesity. We know it's this incredible janitor. It comes through and just cleans out all the cells that don't belong in our bodies. So there's a process called cell apoptosis where our cells will die off if they don't belong in us anymore. If they hang around, oftentimes they turn into zombie cells. They start running into everything and causing damage. And so turmeric is this ultimate janitor. It just goes in there and cleans house so the body can be efficient and clean and work. And so I love that turmeric can have such a metabolic support. It's supportive of the gut membrane, the
Mm.
gut microbiome, which is huge, again, for immune system and inflammation overall. And then it's this powerful anti-inflammatory, which we know is an anti-aging support, but also it's going to help us when it comes to chronic metabolic disease.
Coming in like a janitor. I mean, giving the visual is
Yeah.
so powerful. Being able to see it like that, like not just being told, oh, there's another spice. Oh, there's another plant medicine. Oh, there's another this, and this is why it does that. Giving the visual definitely takes it up a level, right? That it's able to do all that, but here's the why and here's the how in simple terms, because not everybody is going to look into the medicine, the science behind it. They want solutions, right? I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain it like that. I love that. With turmeric, does it have to be in its purest form? You know, you see them selling turmeric at the stores now, the root, but there's also essential oils. There's also the powders that you can buy as a spice to put in your spice rack. Is there one that's more powerful?
Sure. So we're all so bio-individual.
Hmm.
The way I like to think of it is in ancient India, they didn't use the root much.
Hmm.
The root turmeric is beneficial, but it's not as bioavailable. Now, when you take that root and you dry it into the spice turmeric, you've really concentrated it down. It's like the difference between taking basil, for example, and then the spice. It's going to be way stronger, onions as a spice.
Hmm.
So when you take turmeric as a spice and use it in your cooking, it's important to do so with black pepper or
Hmm.
a healthy fat to increase that absorption because we know black pepper alone increases that absorption by 2000%. We know with healthy fat it increases the absorption significantly as well. The problem is in the Western diet, most people aren't eating that much turmeric, even though they know the benefits. Or they're having it in interesting ways, like orange juice now will have turmeric, but you're giving yourself sugar to give yourself turmeric, so you're inflaming to de-inflame.
Hmm.
Or a skinny latte. We don't want a skinny latte. We want a full fat latte. It was always turmeric with whole milk to get those benefits.
Oh, like a
Or
chai.
turmeric with
Yeah.
exactly, like a chai tea latte,
Yeah.
don't make it skinny then
Hmm.
because you need that fat to increase that absorption. And then finally, when we take turmeric, the plant, only 3% of it is the curcuminoids.
Hmm.
And of those curcuminoids, curcumin is the most effective at reducing inflammation. And so that's where so much science has been invested in how do we create extracts out of turmeric to give people just that piece that's the most effective at inflammation. And so there's a lot of games played in the supplement world right now. A lot of supplements are made just so they're highly profitable. They're made because people just want to create something that people will buy. In my case, after my PhD was done, I wanted to prove my point. I wanted to prove to orthopedics that we can get people out of pain without harming their gut. Because in my case, when I hurt myself at the gym or
Hmm.
anywhere, I cannot take NSAIDs high dose over a long period of time. I'm one of those people, and there's a lot of people who cannot take NSAIDs all the time. We know it can cause a GI bleed. We know it can cause damage to the kidneys. And so I created a turmeric purely to show orthopedics we can keep people out of pain. And then now I get to teach about the preventive aspects of
Hmm.
turmeric to everybody to show everyone look, when you extract it at the right dosage, at the right potency, standardized to the highest levels, now we're talking about a significant reduction in inflammation.
So, can you just go to the store and buy turmeric in the spice aisle? Or if you do use essential oils, can you just use it because it's so constant, it's so distilled, and pair it with maybe distilled black pepper in an essential oil? Are those still options? Are you still going to get the potency?
Absolutely. You will. Anytime we're using the whole plant, it's going to have
Mm.
benefits. It's just about what potency level you need for
Mm.
you to feel the difference. A lot of times I meet people who are like, "Yeah, I take my turmeric supplement. I've never felt anything."
Mm.
Okay, change it up. Try someone
Mm.
else. There's a lot of great brands out there. I'm not the only one who created one. I'm just obsessive and I made one that I wanted to prove my point. Essential oils are
Mm.
incredible. We love essential oils. We love teas out of Ayurveda. The more natural we can go, the better. The problem is nowadays we're so inflamed. As a society, we have so much chronic low grade persistent inflammation running rampant. We have these kind of forest fires going due to different issues. It could be toxins, it could be different traumas. Like we're in the sympathetic mode
Mm.
and we're in fight or flight, and we're in high stress so much of the time. Plus, we have a lot of oxidative stressors. And so that's where I think supplementation can really help people. But then move back into your maintenance dose and use the oils, use the spice, use the foods to stay healthy overall.
Yeah, love that. And you mentioned you have your own line. This is an Ayurvedic company that helps people with inflammation and pain. And we're going to put a link in the notes of this podcast because we're going to share more about what you do offer and take advantage of it. It's a wonderful opportunity. You know, here on Holistically Speaking, we back those companies, those products, those people like Dr. Gupta that are making a difference and sharing what they know, especially when it comes to holistic healing and functional medicine and integrative health. So thank you for that. Do you want to share a little bit about, this is a term you've been mentioning a lot, and maybe for those newcomers out there, what exactly Ayurvedic is?
Sure. So Ayurveda is an entire system of health, healing, and medicine from India that's 5,000 years old.
Mm.
And this system is actually a way of life. So it's an entire way of life we can all live each and every day. It encompasses some of my favorite pillars of health.
Hmm.
It actually encompasses so much more, but the six pillars I teach are circadian rhythm,
Hmm.
which is a concept that came out of Ayurveda. That just means we should live according to nature's clock. And when we're off nature's clock, we're causing dis-ease
Mhm.
because we're living against it. Then we teach a lot about sattvic diet, the sattvic lifestyle, living this yogic lifestyle and eating with a lot of intention, eating foods that are nutrient dense, nutrient variety, that are seasonal from our circadian clock. We also teach something called your dosha, or your mind
Mhm.
body constitution, and how each of us has our own constitution. And once we understand if we're more air or more fire or more earth, we then have a blueprint
Mhm.
for how to live every day that applies to everything else we do: when we eat, when we sleep, how we do self care, what foods we eat, what spices we use. You can really customize down to your constitution. So I love doing a dosha quiz on people and showing them what they are. And they're always like, "What? How'd you know that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I know a lot about you. That let me show you how to adjust and calibrate to your life moment to moment so you feel your best." Then I teach a lot about sleep,
Mhm.
because if we don't sleep, we're going to
Mhm.
stay inflamed and then you're going to need turmeric forever. So if I can just fix your sleep, you can de-inflame yourself, which would make me happy. Then I teach about all the self-care rituals from Ayurveda that are the daily rituals. We call it dinacharya, the daily rhythm you build by using these self-care rituals that are detoxing and beneficial for your health. And then finally, my last pillar is super spices, because I love the spices. I love tea. I love adaptogens. And I want to help people feel better. And then I can show you all the lifestyle stuff you can do. And a lot of times people work with me for 6 weeks, they feel better, and then they'll fall off the horse and they'll say, "I heard my little Shivani on my shoulder remind me, do self-care. Pick up your dry brush, pick up your tongue scraper, start to do tea time is me time. Do the little things that add up to getting you back on your track."
And there's so many different things that you can do, like you mentioned, all these pillars. But even if you make one change, you're moving in the right direction, right? And when you fall off the horse, you can get back on it. We wobble, but we don't fall down, kind of like a weeble, right? And it's just bouncing back up and realizing that we have the ability to make small changes and small shifts. So, and one thing that you did mention that I think a lot of people struggle with, and we're seeing this not just those who tune into the show, but sleep. Like me, with others who might be struggling with sleep, what would be the first thing that you would suggest?
One big idea I teach people is, when we have children, we usually read all these books on how to make them sleep because we need them to sleep for us to sleep. And guess what is one big thing we do for them? We set up a nighttime ritual to lead them to a great night's sleep. We close the blinds, we start diffusing lavender oil, we start playing sleep music, we do a massage to them, we make sure they have a nice hot bath, massage them after with lotions, put their pajamas on, make sure everything's dark. So that everything you've done there is programming mind and body.
Mm,
We are going to bed, right? What do we do for ourselves? We're like, okay, close the laptop, run up, maybe throw pajamas on. I've learned a lot of people don't do that.
mm,
Plug in our device right next to our head so it can damage and disease us all night long,
mhm,
and then read on social. Maybe we're on TikTok or Instagram. We're just like consuming blue light programming. Boom, and we should automatically fall asleep. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I totally do that
mhm. I
sometimes.
do too.
But
Right?
what if we did the Ayurvedic way? The
Mm,
Ayurvedic way is, I have alarms on my phone to remind me 8:15, invest in self-care time, 9 o'clock, bedtime rituals, and lead ourselves towards great sleep using the Ayurvedic rituals. So the Ayurveda rituals are actually 12 of them, and they start in the morning, and I've cut it in half and moved a lot of them into the evening, because most of us aren't that free in the morning to do
mm,
so much self-care. And in the evening, they're the perfect lead in for bed. So I talk about dry brushing. Dry brushing is going to move the lymphatic system so that it works better overnight to clean and clear and detox us. The circadian clock in Ayurveda says we should sleep from 10 to 2 on the clock. That means all of us need to be asleep by 10.
mm,
I know that that's hard because the average American is sleeping at 11:22 according to Fitbit. But if we can move that time up 15 minutes at a time, sleep alone will clear inflammation overnight, and 10 to 2 is what we call the pitta time of day, where the sun is highest in the sky. And so if you stay up till about midnight, you'll find all of a sudden you're like, I'm a night owl. I have so much energy. I can do so much. You are not a night owl. You're not extra creative at midnight. any one of us, if we got too close to the highest sun point, will all automatically take the energy that we could have used for detoxing and clearing inflammation, and we'll just leverage it for work
Mm.
and thus completely bypass detoxification and cleaning. And so our job is different sleep rituals. I have a deep sleep tea that I developed purely to help mind and body relax and ease towards bedtime because I myself need some tools. Hot shower, maybe Epsom salt bath. I do a heating pad in bed just to keep myself extra warm and relaxed and comforted, and then go to bed. And so the more you can do in that 30 minutes to an hour leading to bedtime, the better quality sleep you'll get, and that deep sleep is going to be so restorative and healing that when you up in the morning, you'll be energized. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm joyful. I'm like, wow, I'm excited about today. And before, I used to wake up tired and exhausted and hitting the snooze button and never wanting to wake up. And so that's my dream, is for all of us to do even a few self-care rituals before bed so we wake up so excited.
Ugh. I'm sitting here, I'm like, "Oh gosh, if she just knew, if she knew what I do." And look, I mean, like you said, I mean, we even when we're in this space, we have things we break our own, but it's an awakening, an awareness just to say, "Okay, what can I do differently? Why am I going down this road? How can I make one small change just to elevate my life?" Right? So, I'm glad you actually mentioned that there's some things that you do. What is Shivani's biggest, um challenge?
Oh gosh. I would say my biggest challenge is food
Mm.
because I'm vegetarian. I want to eat Ayurvedic. I want to eat seasonal. I want to eat organic. I want to eat according to my dosha.
Mhm.
My dosha says don't eat anything hot and spicy because I'm already a fire and all I want is I pour hot, spicy, hot sauces on everything I eat. So I break that rule all day. I want to eat high protein because I'm in perimenopause.
Mhm.
I want to eat such nutrient density with sprouts. And so and I'm so obsessed with health, all I do is read about health. So I'm in one of those awkward positions where I can never win, no matter what I do. So I've had to make a lot of peace with food and just acknowledge that there's 7 days in a week. We can't have perfection on any given day. But if one or two meals out of the day are so awesome, it's okay. Even one meal at this point, because I can't obsess about food that much and still function in society.
Right, and go easy on yourself, right? If you do that, if we start bashing ourselves for the little things that we do that we'd like to do better, we're our own worst bully. And it's nice to hear the human side of the doctor,
Yeah, yeah,
Shivani,
yeah,
you know, because we all have those moments. So thank you for sharing that. I would have to say for me, it's probably sleep. And once in a while, it'll be sugars, you know, but I know how I feel when I have too much, you know. And just making those small notes to yourself of how does this make me feel?
absolutely.
Yeah. So again, fusionary formulas. We're going to share more about that in notes of this podcast. And then also, you have two giveaways, and I'm so grateful that you're sharing this free 7-day inflammation detox challenge you're sharing, as well as an anti inflammatory e cookbook. Okay. I'm all about that. Do you want to share anything about
Yeah.
those?
Absolutely. So many people come to me and their main struggle is
Yeah.
inflammation. And they know they're inflamed. They're like, something's wrong. I've got joint pain. I've got stiffness. Something's wrong with my gut. I have brain fog. Random things hurt. I don't understand why. I've
Yeah.
tried everything. And so, inflammation, if we just learn how to naturally clear it and build an anti inflammatory lifestyle, then we can maintain that vibrant health that we deserve. And so, the 7-day challenge is actually a really easy way to learn a little bit about everything that I teach. So I don't take everything away from you, which typically, if you want to reduce inflammation, you're going to take away that sugar. We're going to take
Mhm.
away alcohol. We're going to take away gluten. So instead, I try to add a lot back in. Like let's give you glorious sleep. Let's get you feeling great. And then yes, I will take one or two food categories away
Okay.
from you.
Are you gonna, what are you
But
going to tell us
I
what those
have
are?
I mean, the top 5 inflammatory foods that I teach are dairy, sugar, alcohol, gluten, and then red meat,
Yeah.
which red meat is, it's dependent on the person. Some
Yeah.
of us are so built to digest it, not all of
Yeah.
us. Sometimes I talk to my clients, I'm like, look, just take it out for 2 weeks, let the gut heal,
Mhm.
and then bring it back in it. I know it has a lot of benefits. It just depends on your different template of body. So cutting inflammation is very key. And that's why I also made the anti-inflammatory cookbook, just to show different ways to reduce inflammation. The thing is,
Yeah.
if we're not going to consistently reduce inflammation in this day and time, we're going to have that chronic buildup of toxic burden and different issues. So that's why I'm so passionate about all the ways we can reduce inflammation.
And what I love that you're sharing about both of these, they're so synergetic together. So you can do the 7-day inflammation detox challenge that Shivani's offering and use her anti-inflammatory e-cookbook recipes.
True.
My friends, it's like right there in front of you. And I'm going to use some of her recipes. I'm going to try this out. And I'm going to incorporate what I already do and see how it levels up. And then I'll get back to you and let you know. Hey, maybe we'll do it together. Maybe we'll do it with some Holistically Speaking audience members together, see if they want to do it as a little challenge.
I love that.
Yeah. Let me know if you like that, my friends, tuning in. If that's something you want to do, let me know. Drop a comment wherever you're tuning in and listening or watching on YouTube. Let me know, and maybe we'll do it together as a big old community collective effort. I love that. All right. So one thing I want to do with you before I let you go is I love to play a little game. I throw out a word that you've said, and I want you to come back with the first word that comes to mind.
Awesome.
Here we go. We're going to do a little brain candy is what I call it. It's a brain candy game. All right. Turmeric.
Inflammation.
Formula.
Holistic healing.
Holistic.
Holistic means natural, of the earth.
Circadian.
Nature's clock.
Pain.
Suffering.
Ayurveda.
The best system ever.
I don't think I've ever actually used that as a word in the brain candy game. Immigrant.
Assimilating.
Ooh, I like that one. Chronic.
Suffering.
Functional.
Integrative.
I don't think I said this word, but I do want to throw it out there because it does have a lot to do with how turmeric can impact you. Longevity.
Health span. Quality of life.
Oh, that's a good place to end right there. Quality of life. That's really what we're doing here on this show is we're offering possibilities to elevate your quality of life. That's what Holistically Speaking is. Having guests like you, Shivani, help us do that. So what I would love to do is just give you a moment to see if there's something you would like to leave with our audience and how you would like to leave them today. What words would you like to share?
Everyone has the sovereignty and the ability to build and tune their intuition to guide them on their own health journey. You have that power to build your health journey and completely change the trajectory of your life and quality of your life. I'm a firm believer that we can each change every aspect of our life, a life design that's completely different than what we have now. We can elevate, we can grow, we can evolve and reach higher and higher into our physical health, mental, emotional health, and our spiritual health. And that's the gift that Ayurveda gives to me and to so many of the people who I get to speak to and teach. So that's the message I'd love to leave today.
I love that. Thank you so much. I felt that. I heard that. It's people like you, it's humans like you that are really truly making a difference and raising awareness in areas for us to really be our own health care advocates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I made a special code for your audience. Hilary with one L will give everyone 15% off at fusionaryformulas.com. And then my dosha quiz and a lot of things we mentioned are at my website, shivanigupta.com. It's SHIVANIGUPTA.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, my friends. How about we put some of these anti-inflammatory powerhouses to work right now together? I'm going to share a number of links with you in the notes of this podcast episode so that you can put idea into action and start making change right now. It starts with Dr. Shivani Gupta's 7-day detox challenge. Then you've got her e-cookbook download that you can use with the 7-day challenge. And let's level it up a little bit. The Fusionary Formula products, use my code Hilary, HILARY, and receive even more benefits. Talk about elevating your optimal health. All three of those things are going to put you on the path. So let me know how it works. Do the week, the 7 days, and then share it. Comment, wherever you're tuning into this podcast, whether it is on Apple or Spotify, or even watching us on YouTube, make sure you are following us each place. Download, leave a comment, let us know how it's working for you. because that's what this is all about here on Holistically Speaking, is that it's finding those inspiring ways to be kind to your mind, body, and your spirit. And if you're interested in learning more about how holistic health and integrative nutrition can really make a change in your life, maybe even seeing how you can change a thought, a mood, a behavior, a habit, and learn more about havening and neuroscience, I've got you covered. I shared even more on the offerings that are happening right now that you can complement with your own health journey. Holistically Speaking is edited by Two Market Media with music by Lipbone Redding and, of course, supported by you. So thank you for being here time and time again. It just takes one small change to pave the way for possibilities. Remember that. And when it comes to your health, you are always your own healthcare advocate first. So I believe in you, I love you, and I will be sending hugs your way. Be well.
I know the girl